It's great to be on the line with everyone. And I want to welcome you all to the call this evening. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your schedules, to come and visit with us for a little while tonight and see what we're doing and what we're up to. I'm here tonight because I got lucky, or at least I feel that I got very lucky. I was able to see and hear Tony Stephan's story some time back. It really had an impact on me, a lot of effect. It really resonated with me, and I knew for myself right away that there was something really, really special going on here. And then when I learned more about Q Sciences, the entire company, and everybody that was involved, that was working on this thing and putting it all together and making it happen, the corporate team and the advisors, the officers and the product formulas and all the things that were going on, and their track records of success and what they've done in the past, then that pretty much did it for me. So I was totally all in. Okay, so again, I feel that I'm fortunate to be a part of all this. I want to take just a second to thank everybody that's pushing the buttons behind the scenes. I do appreciate everything. But we have a lot of good info for you tonight that we want to cram into a very short time. So we're going to get straight to it. I want to get the main speaker on here. Scott Malone is one of the founders of the company. He's a team leader. He's one of the master distributors. He has a ton of success in this industry. An all-around really great guy. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Scott, many conversations since we came together because of Q Sciences, and it's really great to be working with him. And I look forward to continuing a great business relationship over the years to come with Q Sciences. So Scott, if you're on, go ahead and take her away, buddy.
All right, thanks, Brett. I appreciate you taking charge tonight and introducing everybody, and I appreciate the hard work that you're doing and the success that you're having in the business as well. Quintessential Biosciences is the name of our company. And tonight is a night that we talk about our products and all of the things that this company is doing. To begin with, let me just tell you real quick a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Arizona, and in 1989, I was a general contractor. And as things changed economically there, I was not able to any longer do contracting, and a family member introduced me to the industry of network marketing. And with some hesitancy, I realized that if this would work, it would be great. But if I'd never done it before, but I jumped in with both feet in August of 1989, and just really did some amazing things. Just caught a company at the right time and had some great people worked with, and just really had some tremendous success. And I really have been doing this ever since. And I've just really traveled the world now, and I've seen all kinds of things and met tons of people. And it's just an amazing industry. I love it, and this is the only thing I'd rather do in my life is this. It's just the greatest business. And so I'm really excited to share with you tonight about our company, and I have some guests that are going to be joining with us as well. And so my first guest is our managing director, Mr. Mark Wilson, and I haven't heard him on there, but I hope that he's on here. Mark, are you with us tonight?
Yeah, I am, Scott. Thank you.
There you are. I've been, I just moved up to Lehigh to be here next to the company. I'm in the office with you guys very regularly now, and it's amazing to see what's going on around the office and all the excitement, the things that are getting ready to happen, and things that are going on there. You guys are doing an amazing job, and I congratulate you on that. I want to talk tonight, though, about what's going on with Q Sciences and what Q Sciences is all about. Quintessential Biosciences is the best of the best, and we've really assembled a great team of people to bring these products and to bring this business to fruition. And you're really the main driving force behind all of the action and everything that's taken place within this company. And real quick, I want you to just share with us about the beginning of this and the people that you were able to assemble, and some of their backgrounds and some of the things that that have happened. and really, what was the driving force behind your efforts there when you initiated all this about a year and a half ago or so? Kind of a tough question, I know, but
okay. Well, let me see how I can do it. What I can do with that.
yeah.
When we got together a year and a half ago, Darren and I and Jimmy and Travis, we talked a lot about what we wanted to do and why we wanted to do it, and you've heard us say that kind of the foundational thought was that if we did the right things for the right reasons, we could have a great company, and great in the sense of having an ability to help people. We talked a lot about that, and I think all of us came to the conclusion that the greatest joy that we had outside of our families and our lives was having an ability to help people. And we kind of realized that, at least in our experiences, the best way that we had seen to help people was through their health, through their families, especially their kids, and also with their finances. And we realized that this, opportunity, starting a company in this industry, would give us an opportunity to help people in all of those areas if we did this right. And so that was kind of the driving force that, as we got started and moved forward. And then, of course, when we actually, through you, Scott, we were introduced to Tony Stephan, and when that happened, of course, we'd met Dr. Kimberly before and went down that road with him, and he had some great ideas, some great concepts. We're very excited to kind of join forces with Dr. Kimberly, and then, of course, we were introduced to Tony Stephan and his family, and had the rights to market his products exclusively in this channel of direct sales. Then things really took off, and it's just been amazing to see what's happened in a very short period of time. In just a short period of time, we've kind of seen some of the things that we hoped would happen, and that is that we could be in a position to help people with their health. We've certainly seen that in just the last 4 or 5 months with these products of ours. We've had an ability to help people with their families, and especially their children, with these products in the last few months, and that has been just amazing. And then, of course, we're starting now, because we have some time behind us, 4 and 5 months now, we're being able to help people with their finances and their families. And I can't tell you how great that makes us feel. Every day is just a pleasure to go to the office and hear stories and hear experiences that people are having. And I got to tell you, it is just tremendous. It's just absolutely a joy to go to the office and experience those kind of things on a daily basis.
Yeah, being in there with you guys now, it's I'm thrilled to be there as well, and to be part of this whole thing. But this company is about helping people, like you mentioned. It's about helping them in so many different ways, and it's really different because what we're doing, you really can't do in other ways. You can't do this in a retail setting, and this was kind of brought to light, I think, when we met with Dr. K. He'd been around for a long time, and he developed some products. But he tells this story that every time somebody wanted to market those products, they looked at them and they said, we can't do this because it's too expensive to produce that product, and the price won't work, and there's not enough profit in it. It always comes back to the money, and that's really how most things are done, especially in the retail industry. I know for a fact that there's 1,000 times markup in a lot of those products, and so it leaves very little room for quality and value in the actual product itself, and that's really, I think, where we're way different. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. We had a great experience when we met Dr. Kimberly. He was down in the Portland area, and I flew down from Seattle, and Darren and Travis flew in from Salt Lake City. Jimmy actually went down with me from Seattle. We spent the entire afternoon, early evening with him. And, when you meet him, for those that have had a chance to meet him, you recognize very quickly that he's not only brilliant, but he's just a great guy. And this common thread, as I talked about, of wanting to help people certainly runs really strong through Dr. Kimberly. Yeah, but right. Just this one formula that he's worked on, this Vitalize formula, as you mentioned, he'd had for some time, and many companies had come to him and wanted to have the rights to that product. But it was about money, and the other thing it was about was they didn't feel like that 2,400 milligrams per day would ever sell. And so they kept telling him that, you know, we can't market this at 5 tablets a day or capsules a day. We have to get this down to 1 or 2 capsules a day. And that was really, in his mind, the linchpin, because he knew what they would do. They would pare down all the ingredients, but they would still have the same ingredient deck, just not the same amount, not an effective dose. So they would market the herbs and all the things he had in it and the benefits that would come from those herbs, but he knew that it wouldn't be an effective dose and it would not do him any good. And he was never going to let someone do that to that product. And so when we came along and we talked, you know, it was amazing because he said, you know, it's got to be 2,400 milligrams. And we said, well, okay. And he about fell out of his chair because he had never heard anybody say it's okay before. And that was kind of the beginning with Dr. Kimberly, and he knew right then that we kind of felt the same way he did, and that was, this is about helping people, and that kind of formed our relationship.
Yeah. Well, that's a great lead into what I want to discuss right now and where we want to go. And I've also got Dana Stringham on the line with us as well. He's going to share with us some really exciting information as well. Dana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I heard him. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm here. All right.
Yeah, a little bit fuzzy there, but I know that you're out in the wilderness out there, so hopefully we'll be able to hear you okay.
Okay, one second. I'll take you off speaker and see if it's there. Is that going to make it sound any better there?
Yeah, quite a bit better. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me go back to some of the things that Mark was just alluding to, you know, from Dr. Kimberly, and that has to do with just overall wellness, and that the fact that, you know, it's like if you're going to bake a cake, for example, you're going to have a bunch of different ingredients in there. You can't just take all those ingredients and just throw in any amount and have it turn out to, you know, to be a good cake. It's not going to taste good, or it won't bake properly. It just won't be what you want it to be. Well, the exact same thing is so true with our body and with nutrition and with these micronutrients and with these macronutrients, you know, the carbohydrates and the proteins, and then all of the other things that are so critical for health and wellness. There's some really great research, and there's a lot of these things that we're going to be bringing forward here very quickly. But a gentleman named Melvin Werbach, he's from UCLA Medical, he says there's 112 diagnosed diseases that are directly related to improper nutrition. 112. I mean, that's pretty amazing. There's a guy named Paul Munson, has a book called Principles of Pharmacology, and in this he documents the process that a person goes through from malnutrition to death. Basically, when you're not getting the proper nutrients in your food, I'm not talking about calories, we're talking about the nutrients that's inside the food that we eat that are critical for life. You know, the first step is you start getting a decreased level of those nutrients in your blood, which then has a reduced enzyme activity effect, which starts impairing the bodily functions, and we start noticing things are kind of not right in our bodies and our systems, which leads us to the next step, which is called clinical manifestation of disease, which is you feel something's not right, you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you know, you've got cancer, or you've got, you know, whatever, and you know, you got this sickness or this disease, and the next step then follows that is basically organ failure, which we know which leads after that is just death. And so all of these things are very well documented that, you know, that proper nutrition can reverse and change all those. And so it's really amazing to see how this affects general wellness, which is really what our company is all about. And, you know, the end result of a lot of these things can be things such as mental illness. And of course, Dana, you know, you're the husband of Autumn, who Tony's daughter, who, you know, experienced this amazing problem, and you know firsthand what happens when this happens in your family or in somebody that you love, and you see that. And you know, when I see Autumn today and with her, it's really amazing to see and even think the kind of person that she used to be, and the way she's changed today. And so I'm excited for you to be on tonight. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've learned in the 16 plus years now that you've been involved with this company, and let's kind of talk about some of those things, and the overall wellness and the effect of proper nutrition on that.
Okay. Yeah, great, Scott. I appreciate that that introduction and also that good information that you shared as well, especially with regards to micronutrients and their effect on overall health. And and sometimes, as you mentioned, without getting the proper micronutrients and nutrition into your body, sometimes you don't even recognize it before it's too late. Before suddenly there's a manifestation of a disease like heart disease or something, or liver failure, or in our case, or in many people's cases, sort of this incidence of mental illness. And there's been a lot of evidence to show that an improper uptake of micronutrients or an inadequate intake to begin with of micronutrients can absolutely lead to certain types of mental illnesses. And in the years of experience that I've had in dealing with people who have had these conditions, there's no question about it in my mind, and of course starting with Autumn, my wife, that when these people are given the proper micronutrient supplementation, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about exactly what that means to me in terms of what is the proper micronutrient supplementation,
let me ask you a question.
They can get better. Sure.
Let me interrupt you and ask you a question. So, what if a person says to you, well, I eat, 3 good meals a day. I eat well, I'm doing good.
Yeah, see then I say, hey, that's really excellent. But let me tell you something about the foods that we eat today. And I don't think there's probably a person on the conference call here tonight that probably didn't eat something that came from a package within the last 24 hours. I can almost guarantee that that's the truth, right? And when you look at something that comes from a package, a lot of that, of course, is overprocessed food, an extra amount of sugar, carbohydrates, fats, stuff that's really not that good for us. And more importantly, doesn't have a lot of anything regarding micronutrients, vitamin A, calcium, vitamin D, whatever it might be, probably has very little of that. So that's one thing I would say as well. Eat pretty healthy, but I guarantee you're eating something that comes from a package from time to time. And even if you are one of those people who really avoids that stuff, and there are people out there that do that, and I say, hey, kudos to you, that's really great. But the fact of the matter is, even the good food that you buy from a grocery store, like let's say you buy some nice fresh lettuce and carrots and that kind of thing, it does not have the same amount of micronutrients that they did, say, even just 50 years ago. And that's also something that's very well documented in the literature as well, that the USDA has stats going back many, many years to show the levels of some of the major micronutrients that we need, calcium, magnesium, selenium, these kind of things, and how they've absolutely decreased over the years in the most common vegetables like broccoli and carrots, tomatoes, apples, whatever, fruits and vegetables as well, how these things have decreased significantly. From about 1917, when they first started to take a look at these things, down to the present day, some of these elements, for example, magnesium, have decreased over 70% in our foods. And so even if you're really trying, you're not going to get it. And there's actually another study that just came out recently. This is 2006, so I guess it's not so recent. But they did a study of individuals, 70 different individuals, as a matter of fact, who wanted to see if they could, just through their diets alone, reach the levels of the RDA. Everybody knows what the RDA is, right? The recommended dietary allowance, or daily allowance sometimes it's called, of certain micronutrients, vitamin A, calcium, magnesium, all these things that we're well aware of. And so these 70 individuals, they analyzed their diets, and these people were actually trying to meet these levels in their diets. And guess what? Not one of those 70 individuals was able to meet the RDA for any of the 10 different vitamins and minerals that they analyzed. Not even one. And in fact, the men and the women, men in particular, fell far short on the mineral level in particular, more than 45% deficient in trying to meet the levels of minerals just through eating good food. And again, these are people that would have gone to the grocery store, hey, I'm going to get this good broccoli, I'm going to eat spinach.
Right.
Stuff. They still couldn't do it. Isn't that amazing? So that tells me that there's no question in today's world that the way we eat and the way we try to eat, we're just not getting the sufficient levels of micronutrients that we need. And that's even trying to meet the RDA. And I have plenty of evidence that shows that even levels of the RDA are actually on the risk of inadequacy, in other words, not getting enough, even if you were able to eat just at the level of the RDA. So in my mind, there's no question we need supplementation. It's pretty obvious. There's no question in my mind.
Right. The analogy that I used of the cake, the recipe, obviously if that's, your body that you're trying to protect, you can't protect it because you're not getting the things that you need. And you've used an analogy that I really, really like, and I want you to share that with us now of of a dam basically, protecting and give us that analogy again and share with us, that. That's really an interesting point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting because it's hard for people to understand, this idea of having a lot of micronutrients that we're deficient in. And what we've done is compile, and this is data from the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, that shows the number of people in the United States that don't meet certain levels of calcium, magnesium, micronutrients, right? And it's actually astonishing when you look at the data. For example, more than 75% of us are deficient in vitamin E, according to levels. 75% of Americans, that's crazy. And there's
right.
at least 4 or 5 different levels of other things that are really important, like calcium, folate, iron, magnesium. More than 65% of Americans don't meet the RDA for those elements, right? So when I look at that, now, when I use the analogy of a dam in my presentations, and it's a little hard to do this over the phone because you can't actually see what I'm doing, but I try and sort of what's the word? Draw an analogy between our bodies and a dam. If you look at a nice brand new dam, let's use the Hoover Dam for example. After it was first constructed, and there's no leaks, and the thing is perfect, it's holding back water just like it should. Let's pretend that that's our bodies for a second, and our bodies are made to do the very best they can. They're not perfect, but they're created to uptake nutrients and to fuel the body systems the best they can. Well, let's take these deficiencies that I just mentioned, right? The RDA, levels of the RDA
right.
that most of us aren't meeting on a daily basis. And if we were to superimpose those deficiencies on the dam and suddenly they become holes in the dam, well, what happens? The dam begins to leak. And in most cases, it begins to actually, the water starts to gush out because we're just not meeting these levels like we're supposed to. So in the instance of vitamin E, for example, I brought up that example, people say, well, why not just give a bunch of vitamin E to that person if we're deficient in vitamin E? That should solve the problem. Well, sure, that would be really great. And you could fill that deficiency in vitamin E, perhaps, by taking extra vitamin E. But what about all these other holes in the dam that's been created by an insufficient intake of micronutrients? Well, your dam's not fixed yet, right? And so until you cover all of those deficiencies with proper micronutrient supplementation, you're never going to be able to really see what good nutrition can do until you've actually filled all of the gaps in the dam and the level of the water raises up to the top again and everything looks great, right? And so that's been a hard concept, I think, for a lot of people to understand, is that you actually need to have all of these elements working together in the proper ratio and balance. And I know you mentioned that earlier, Scott, and that's actually a very critical point, that these things have to be working together in order to see what really good nutrition can do in terms of healing the body and in terms of feeding your body what it needs to allow your body to manufacture its own brain chemistry, for example, in the case of mental disorders, or for any other, to feed all the other processes that happen in your body on a regular basis.
Right. So there's over 400 processes in your body, and each of those is happened or is instigated by enzymes, which are instigated by the micronutrients, the selenium and all of the different things that work with each other synergistically to cause those things to happen. And so if you're not there, then you lose. It's like a hole in your dam. It's a hole in your defense system, your immune system, or whatever it is. So great. That's a great point. How does Empower Plus Q96 then fill those holes in the dam? Give us that whole scenario.
Well, see, here's the thing with what that's so powerful with Q96 and Power Plus or Empower Plus Q96 or whatever. There's basically 3 keys to the effectiveness of it. And one of those keys, as we just mentioned, is to have the proper ratio and balance between elements. And that's something that's just simply not well understood, at least in human nutrition. And again, if you go back to where this whole thing started, it essentially started in the pig pens of Alberta. And with the hog feed formulator supplementers that understood very well the balance between elements had to be absolutely perfect. For example, you had to have the right amount of magnesium and vitamin D in order for calcium to work properly in the body. And you had to have the right amount of copper in order for iron to be absorbed. These kind of things, right? Very, very well understood. And so this idea of balance between elements is critical, and you just don't find that. In fact, 75% of the supplements that are out there in the market today, if you were to walk down to Walgreens or whatever else, are basically single or double element supplements. For example, you can go and buy some vitamin E, or you can go buy zinc, or you can go buy just calcium with maybe a little bit of magnesium or something like that, right? They're not balanced with all the other elements that actually make them work. So this idea that behind Q96 and Power Plus is that it has all of these things working synergistically together. So it has a full complement of the most essential micronutrients that your body needs. And some of the trace elements that you just don't find anywhere else. Molybdenum, for example, and boron, some of these other things that you may not find in other supplements are present in Power Plus Q96 in the right proportions. The other key now to why this works so well and why it has to be something that's absorbable. There are far too many supplements out there, and I'm talking particularly about the minerals, calcium, magnesium, selenium, that kind of thing, right? They have to be in a form that your body can absorb. And too many of the supplements out there are just that they're not absorbable. They're not micronized properly. And Power Plus 296 uses a nano micronization technology that pulverizes that mineral particle to absolutely as tiny a particle as you can possibly get. And then that little teeny tiny particle is chelated with an amino acid, which your body recognizes immediately. Oh, it knows exactly what to do with amino acids, uptakes it, and it can get into the bloodstream and get to where it needs to go in the body very, very quickly. So that's key number 2, this idea of having it be absorbable. There are just, as I mentioned, too many that are not, and basically supplements are wasted because your body can't recognize it, can't absorb it, and it gets shot out before it can get into your body.
So the digestive system's critical then. Talk about digestive system and how critical that is in that to functioning.
Well, and there's no question that your body has to be able to digest things properly. And a lot of people that, unfortunately, that have mental conditions and stuff like that also have a concurrent problem with their digestive system. Their bowels aren't working properly. Maybe their stomach, whatever it is, it doesn't allow them to uptake nutrients properly. And so all the more reason why a very readily absorbable supplement needs to be taken. And in addition to that, something like the Q-biotics, or a good probiotic to help get the digestive system back in working order, to replenish those good bacteria that actually help in the digestive process. So that when you take in food, take in supplements, you're going to maximize the amount of nutrition that gets into your bloodstream and then gets into your brain and everywhere else where your body needs it to work.
Yeah, that is so amazing. I love the Q-biotics. It's really a fantastic product, and you can really tell the difference in your digestive system, with just 24 hours of using that. So I'm glad that's available.
If they haven't tried that, that's definitely something to try because it is amazing. I've heard really great things. I've been using it myself for several months now, and it really is a wonderful product. And it's one of those things that you do notice a difference. Much like Q96, people say that they take it and they notice a difference. And that's because of the powerful nutrition. It gets where it needs to go very, very quickly in your body. And if you're deficient at all, most people will recognize it right away that this is helping with them.
Right. Great info. Now, talk real quickly about the Q-Essentials and, the relationship with all these things synergistically. And, we just announced this week that the Q-Essentials are now available in a 7-day sample pack. And so that's really exciting as well. But talk about Q-Essentials real quick as well and how this all works together.
Sure. Well, and again, we just talked about digestion in particular. And to me, that's the most important part of the Q-Essentials pack is the idea that it actually has that excellent Q-biotic probiotic that is part of the package. And, of course, there's the Q96 and Power Plus that's in there as well. So you're getting these essential micronutrients and some of the other vitamins and minerals and stuff that you need. You've got a probiotic that's going to help to absorb those things. And then you've also got a blend of beneficial herbs that help with all sorts of different body systems. You've also got the CoQ10, which of course is good for heart health and for liver health and all these other things. So when you look at the Q-Essentials package and what's in there, it really is sort of a complete health package, if you will. I mean, I can think of a couple other things that you may want to add, like an omega-3, a fish oil type of a thing that's also very beneficial. But in terms of taking something that will really help to improve your health, I can't think of something better than what's in the Q-Essentials package because it really does complete it. And keep in mind, remember, for years and years, for the last 17 years at least anyways, a lot of the people have used only Q96 and maybe something to help with digestion, and the results have been phenomenal. And now that we've added these other things that we know work, like the CoQ10 and some of these herbs that are in the Q Vitalize package, I mean, people's health is just going to continue to improve on a level that I don't think we've seen before. And it is really quite exciting to have all these things paired up together in one convenient package. It's very nice.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know that there's a meeting going on right there, and with Autumn and your team, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. Mark Wilson, are you still on the phone with us? Mark, you got any final comments for everybody?
No, well, Scott, thank you for having me. And Dana, I loved listening to you. I've really had the pleasure of being at several functions with you and Autumn. I look forward to seeing you again. I always enjoy that time that we have together when we're together at those kind of events. And Scott, again, thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for all you're doing, Scott. I really appreciate everything that you're doing with your team and with Q Sciences.
Awesome. Listen, we also have a product that we just announced, also called Q Pets, and basically it's a Q96 or Q Empower Plus formula in a delivery system for pets. And people have been giving them the Q96 Empower Plus, just in the pills, been breaking them open and putting in their food. And now we have it in a special product, and we're doing some really amazing things with this product for the vets and for other people that are in the healthcare profession for animals as well. So a lot of things going on. I can tell you that over the next few weeks, there's some exciting things that are coming with what the company's doing. A lot of changes are going to be taking place, so stay tuned for everything. Stay plugged in and share the information that you get with other people. Appreciate everybody joining with us tonight, and we'll look forward to doing this again in the near future. Next Tuesday night, we do it again as well. So thanks again, and good night to everybody, and jump in the queue. Let's get queued up. Good night, everybody.